Hi YouTubers! Some of you asked me how my burner works and how I built my burner, and I just wanted to show in a short video how it's built up and how easy it is to make such a device. I say if you have a lathe, it's no problem at all. What you really should have is an angle grinder with a cutting wheel, a welding machine, so at least for stainless steel, or at least for simple steel if you want to make it out of simple steel. I made mine out of stainless steel, so I used a TIG welder, and it's pretty easy. If you have the tools, it's pretty easy to make. If not, this one is not really possible to make, because here is welding and here is welding necessary. This you can bend. I welded it because it's easier to get a straight 90-degree angle, and bending a 10mm rod is not that easy. You need to heat it up and whatnot, so I just cut it with a 45-degree angle, a little bit less here, a little bit more here, and that's it, and welded it together. Now my burner itself is made out of a 27mm pipe. All pipes I have used are 1.5mm in thickness, so this one is a 30mm. They interfere very nicely, almost perfect, and as I feel, I made a slight chamfer on the smaller tube inside, so the gas flow is directed over this chamfer, and it's shorted down to speed up a little bit. And this pipe is about finger long. Yeah, it's about 7. You can make it 8 centimeters, you can make it 6 centimeters. Doesn't matter really how long this is. I made it about 7 centimeters. Yep. And this outer tube here is just stuck in about 2 centimeters here, so it is about 150. So you need a piece with 27mm, or a little bit more than an inch, and a piece with 30mm, and as I said, all 1.5mm wall thickness. So you have inside this tube 27mm. You need to grind it out a little bit. The welding seam you need to grind away so the 27mm pipe fits perfectly inside, or you can just use some other pipes in this dimension, in about this dimension, about 1-2mm up and down, doesn't really matter. And here I used a 35 times 2mm, yeah, because I had no else, so I had 31mm on the inside, and this pipe has 30mm, so we get 0.5 millimeter of a gap. But that's not a problem at all. I flared this one out on my anvil, on the horn of the anvil. I just took it on the horn of the anvil and hammered it a little bit out, so it's got a trumpet shape. It flares or cones a little bit out, like here. The tip I also flared on the anvil a little bit more than this piece. This piece I just flared, as I said, 1mm, so it fits perfectly into this tube. And here, just a chamfer to not cut yourself, it's not sharp at all. And then I welded the whole piece together, looked to be very straight. And the last tube, the length of the last tube is about 125mm. But the length is, I think, it also doesn't matter if you take it 10mm longer or shorter or whatever. And as I said, 125, 150 and 70mm are my pieces. And this is all made out of 10mm full stainless steel rod, and the length of this piece is about 60mm. Here I used about 135, and here I used about 90mm. So it was all, yes, now I remember, it was all in one piece. And I just made a cutout of a 90-degree angle. If you cut a 90-degree angle by 45 and 45 into a piece and let here 1mm stand. Then you can fold it in, and you don't need to hold it when welding. It holds itself because it's still connected together, these two pieces. So that's what I did here. I fold them up and then tack them and completely weld it around. And then when I had this almost U-shape piece, I welded it on here and also welded it on here. And to see that this piece is completely centered, you need this piece to be centered to this pipe. And this burner nozzle is from a acetylene oxygen burner, a small one, and it was for soldering. Small burner which I bought somewhere on, you would call it Walmart or something else, or Home Depot. It's pretty cheap, pretty useless, so I decided to make something useful out of the end cap, at least the nozzle. It's about a 0.8 millimeter hole. It says size 1, so it's the smallest I had. And this piece I made out of brass. Just fitted a thread on here, drilled a hole through the whole piece, about 4 millimeters. That doesn't really matter, it just needs to be bigger than this hole. And here can screw this on, it's tight. And here I made a slight cone with some notches in there, so the hose gets pressed in and tightens up. And here I just made a little surface on the whole piece with a file, just filed it by hand. It's pretty easy done on brass. And the piece itself has, I would guess 10 millimeters. Yes, it was a 10 millimeter rod, simple 10 millimeter brass rod, which I used, and very easy to make yourself. Just drill the hole completely through, and as I said, make a tap thread on here, the same thread as here in the nozzle is. That's pretty important. You can make this nozzle also yourself, should not be a problem at all if you have a lathe and if you have a small enough drill. So 0.8 millimeters I guess this is. It's pretty awesome, pretty nice fitting, this nozzle, because I can turn the gas flow to about 1.5 bars, and then I just regulate it with a hand wheel. And if I turn it fully up, I'm close to welding temperatures. I get close to welding temperatures, but I do not forge weld, so I don't really need forge welding temperatures. But for sometimes you will heat up the piece a little bit hotter. If you forge something big, it's easier to forge when it's a little bit hotter, because it's way more malleable. Okay, but now back to the burner. To get this piece completely centered, pretty nice, I used a simple trick. I made myself a plastic piece which had the inner diameter of this pipe, which in my case was 32 millimeters, 31 millimeter. Yeah, 1.4, 31 millimeters. And I made this piece fitting in here about 2 to 3 centimeters and this long, and I drilled a hole exactly in the center, 8 millimeters, as thick as my nozzle is. And then I put the nozzle up here, I stick this piece in, put the nozzle in, and everything was perfectly centered. And then I welded this pipe onto the U-shape and welded the U-shape onto the burner, so everything was perfectly aligned. And this piece is also just, I guess, 20 millimeter, yep, 20 times 2 millimeters, yep, it's 20 times 2 millimeter pipe, 40 millimeters long, but you can also make it just 20 millimeters or whatever. It's 40 millimeters long exactly. Turn it on the lathe, and here I welded on a nut, a simple hex nut, stainless steel hex nut, and just made a stainless steel screw with a simple cylindrical bolt head. Whoop. And just welded this small stainless steel piece onto it, so I have a nice lever to hold the whole thing and to get it where I need it and want it, quick and fast and without tools. Just made a wing screw myself, as you would call it, and to adjust here the depth of the burner. As you see, I can go from completely almost flush with the pipe to about 70 millimeters of space here, which is too much, so the burner does not really get the gas nice inside. I would say half of it is pretty perfect for forging. It works very nice in my case, and that's all I need. Just need it hot and use as less gas as possible, and this burner is pretty nice in this case. And that's it with my burner. Hope you like this short little video. Maybe I gave you a little tip, or I could help you with this video a little bit. And I have to say, my burner works for about what would I say, 20 gas bottles. I guess 20 gas bottles times 6 hours, 10 hours, about 200 hours maybe. This burner worked already. You can see the tip just starts to sprinkle a little bit, or gets bite out or chew out or chip out or whatever you want to call it, and starts to crack also a little bit. But yeah, that's stainless steel. This piece in the front is always glowing bright orange in the forge, and that's why I have to replace this piece anytime soon, but we will see how long it lasts. I guess it will last for another maybe a year, let it be 2 years, I don't know exactly. We'll see how much I'm gonna forge, but it should not be a problem to cut around here once and just weld in a new piece of pipe. It's pretty cheap, pretty easy. Just need to flare it out in the front, make a little chamfer in the back, that's it. The chamfer is about 30 degrees, and that's all. So now, hope you liked the short little information video. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos, and thanks for watching.